10 years ago, the Park family was the royalty of South Korea's tech industry. But then, a tragic accident on a rainy night in Busan took her parents' lives, and the Park empire was swallowed whole by their rivals, the powerful Kang Group. Hana was sent away to a boarding school in Switzerland, disappearing from the social scene. Everyone in Gangnam thought she was gone for good. But Hana didn't just survive, she prepared and reappeared as a ghost. Now, at 24, Hana has returned to Seoul. But she's not back to shop at Cheongdam-dong. She's back for revenge. Her grandfather, the former chairman, is being forced to merge what's left of their family trust with the Kang Group. The condition? Hana must marry one of Chairman Kang's 3 grandsons. Hana suspects that the Kang family orchestrated her parents' death to steal their semiconductor patents. She refuses to be a trophy wife for her enemies. So she devises a plan. She will become the ugliest, most embarrassing bride in Korea, force them to reject her, and then infiltrate their company undercover to find the red file, the proof of their crimes. The blind date was set at the Shilla Hotel, the most exclusive spot in Seoul. Hana knew she had to look disastrous. She traded her designer clothes for a tacky, oversized floral tracksuit that looked like something a countryside grandmother would wear. She drew thick fake freckles all over her face, put on round, nerdy glasses that made her eyes look huge, and messed up her hair into a frizzy disaster. She adopted the persona of Miss Kim, a loud, clumsy girl from a rural farming village. She marched into the VIP dining room where the 3 princes of Seoul were waiting. There was Kang Min-jae, the famous K-pop idol and actor, checking his hair and his phone reflection. There was Kang Do-yoon, the youngest gaming genius, and sitting in the center, radiating ice-cold energy, was Kang Ji-hun, the ruthless CEO of Kang Group, known as the human iceberg. When Hana arrived, the silence was deafening. She didn't bow politely. Instead, she tripped over her own feet and slammed her cheap plastic bag onto the table. "Aigu, did I make the handsome oppas wait?" she shouted in a thick countryside dialect, Saturi. Min-jae looked horrified. He covered his face. "Grandfather must be senile. Is this a prank show?" he whispered, worried his fans would see him with her. But Hana was just getting started. When the waiter brought the jjajangmyeon, black bean noodles, she didn't use her chopsticks gracefully. She grabbed the bowl with both hands and slurped the noodles loudly, getting the black sauce all over her chin and her glasses. "Wah, delicious," she burped, wiping her mouth on her sleeve. It was a masterclass in second-hand embarrassment. Min-jae stood up, disgusted. "I can't do this. My image will be ruined." He walked out. Do-yoon followed, glued to his phone. "Not my type," he muttered. 2 down, 1 to go. Hana turned her sauce-covered face to CEO Ji-hun. She expected him to yell. She expected him to throw water in her face like in the dramas. She smiled a goofy, black-toothed smile. "So, Mr. CEO, are you going to run away too?" Ken Ji-hun didn't blink. His sharp eyes analyzed her. He noticed that despite her act, she avoided spilling a single drop of sauce on her own clothes. He noticed her hands were soft and manicured, not the hands of a farmer. He saw the intelligence hiding behind those thick glasses. Kang Ji-hun was sick of fake Gangnam girls who only wanted his title. He found this performance interesting. He took a sip of his tea and said calmly, "You'll do." Hana choked on a noodle. "Moi?" "I said, I choose you," Ji-hun declared, standing up and adjusting his suit. "My brothers are shallow idiots, but you have guts, and you're obviously hiding something. I like a puzzle." Hana panicked. "But I have bad breath. I snore. I steal soaps from motels." "I have a big house," Ji-hun smirked, walking past her. "Welcome to the Kang family, Miss Kim." Hana was horrified. Her plan had fallen backwards completely. Now she was engaged to the enemy. She was moved into the Kang mansion, a cold, modern fortress. But Ji-hun wasn't going to let her live like a princess. "If you want to be my wife," Ji-hun told her the next morning, "you have to work. No free rides in the Kang family." He threw a uniform at her. It wasn't an executive suit. It was a cleaning lady's uniform. "You start at Kang Global today, cleaning the executive floor."
Hana wanted to scream. She holds a dual degree from Zurich, but she couldn't break character. "Yes, boss," she chirped. This was actually perfect. The cleaning lady has the master key. She could search for the red file. But trouble was waiting for her at the office. Enter Chu Sora, the head of marketing, a stunningly beautiful pick-me girl, and Ji-hun's ex-girlfriend. She was furious that a country bumpkin was engaged to the CEO. Hana was mopping the marble floor when Sora approached, holding a scorching hot cup of yuzu tea. "So, you're the trash Ji-hun picked up. You missed a spot." Splash. Sora deliberately poured the boiling tea onto Hana's arm. The pain was searing. Hana's martial arts instincts kicked in. She wanted to sweep Sora's legs and slam her to the ground, but she stopped. She had to stay undercover. She fell to her knees, scrubbing the floor while Sora laughed. "Clean it up, trash, and stay away from my oppa." Hana gritted her teeth, tears of pain welling up behind her fake glasses. "Yes, Miss Choi," she whispered, but inside she made a promise. "Sora, enjoy your laugh now, because I'm going to own this building soon." That night, Hana stayed late to sneak into Ji-hun's office. She found the hidden safe behind a painting. She pulled out a high-tech decoder from her cleaning cart. She was seconds from cracking the code when the door opened. It was Ji-hun. Hana froze. She grabbed her mop and started dancing with it wildly. "Just exercising, boss." Ji-hun stared at her, but then he saw her arm, red and blistered from the tea. His cold expression softened. He walked over, took the mop from her, and sat her down on his expensive leather sofa. He applied ointment to her burn, his touch surprisingly gentle. "Sora did this, didn't she?" he asked quietly. "I'm clumsy," Hana lied. "You're a bad liar," Ji-hun muttered, looking into her eyes. Without the glasses, he saw a spark of defiance. "Why do you stay? I can give you money to leave." "I don't leave until the job is done," Hana slipped up. "What job?" Ji-hun narrowed his eyes. "Cleaning, the cleaning job," she panicked. Ji-hun chuckled, a rare sound. "You are dangerous, Miss Kim. I'm going to find out who you really are." That moment in the CEO's office changed the game. Hana realized Kang Ji-hun wasn't just a cold-blooded corporate robot. Underneath that expensive suit was a man who was tired of the fake smiles in Gangnam. He was protective, and dare she say it, lonely. But Hana couldn't afford to catch feelings, not when their family had destroyed hers. She had to stay focused on the mission, find the red file. The danger ratcheted up the very next morning in the Kang mansion. Hana was up at dawn, scrubbing the marble floors of the grand foyer before the family woke up. It was hot work, and she thought she was alone. Just for a second, she pulled off those heavy, nerdy glasses and wiped the sweat from her forehead. Without the disguise, her sharp, aristocratic faces, the true face of the park heiress, were revealed.
Suddenly, a door slammed. It was Kang Min-jae, the idol brother, stumbling in after a night of clubbing in Itaewon. He stopped dead in his tracks. For a split second, he didn't see Miss Kim, the country bumpkin. He saw a stunning woman with fierce, intelligent eyes. "Nugaseo, who are you?" Min-jae blinked, rubbing his hungover eyes. Hana panic-shoved the glasses back onto her face, hunching her shoulders. "Aigu, young master, it's just me, the cleaning lady," she shrieked in her fake Saturi accent. Min-jae frowned, stepping closer, invading her personal space. The smell of expensive cologne and stale alcohol rolled off him. "Strange," he murmured, tilting her chin up. "For a second there, you looked like a ghost I used to know. Someone from a very rich, very dead family." Hannah's heart hammered against her ribs. He suspected. She jerked away, accidentally slapping him with her wet cleaning rag. "Aish, don't touch me. I'm full of germs." Min-jae jumped back in disgust. "Ah, filthy peasant." He stormed off to his room, but as he walked away, Hana saw him pull out his phone. "Manager Hyung," she heard him whisper, "look into that cleaning woman my brother brought home. Her eyes, I've seen them before." The clock was ticking. Min-jae was shallow, but he wasn't stupid. Things at Kong Global weren't getting any easier either. Choi Sora, the jealous ex-girlfriend, was on the warpath. A few days later, disaster struck the company. A crucial proposal for a massive foreign investment, a file worth billions of won, vanished from the secure server just hours before the presentation. Panic erupted on the executive floor. Ji-hoon was furious, his aura darker than a thunderstorm. He called an emergency meeting right there in the hallway. "Who accessed the server last night?" he demanded, his voice freezing the air. Choi Sora stepped forward, feigning shock, and pointed a perfectly manicured finger straight at Hana, who was emptying trash cans nearby. "Oppa, it was her, the cleaning lady. I saw her lurking near the server room late last night with a USB drive." It was a ridiculous lie. Hana didn't even have security clearance for that room. But the other executives murmured in agreement. It was easy to blame the outsider, the one who didn't belong. "Search her cart," someone shouted. Security grabbed Hana's cleaning cart and dumped it out. Amidst the spray bottles and rags, a silver USB drive clattered to the floor. Sora smirked. She had planted it perfectly. Ji-hoon looked at Hana, a flicker of true disappointment in his cold eyes. "Miss Kim, did you steal from this company? Are you a corporate spy?" "Anio, I swear," Hana cried, playing the part of the scared, ignorant girl. "I don't even know how to use a computer. I thought the cloud was in the sky." "Take her to the security holding room," Ji-hoon ordered coldly, turning his back on her. Hana sat in the cold, windowless holding room, fuming. They thought she was a stupid country girl? Fine. It was time to show them who the real genius was. She pulled out her dumb phone, which was actually a high-tech hacking device hidden in a cheap plastic casing. Her fingers flew across the small screen. She bypassed the company's firewalls in seconds. She accessed the security camera footage, rewinding to 2 a.m. And there it was. Not Hana, but Choi Sora sneaking into the server room, downloading the file, and later dropping the USB into Hana's cart. But Hana didn't stop there. She traced the digital footprint of the stolen file. Sora hadn't just stolen it, she had sent it to a rival company, a shell company secretly owned by Kang Min-jae. The idol brother was sabotaging the CEO brother. The family rot ran deep. Hana printed the screenshots and the IP trace logs using a wireless printer in the hallway. She slipped out of the holding room, locks are nothing to her, and slid the manila envelope under Ji-hoon's office door anonymously. When Ji-hoon opened the envelope, his face went pale. He saw Sora stealing the file. He saw the transfer to Min-jae's company. He realized two things simultaneously. His own brother and ex-girlfriend were traitors, and the stupid cleaning lady was innocent. But more than that, he looked at the code trace included in the packet. It was brilliant. It was top-tier hacking. "Who the hell are you really, Miss Kim?" he whispered to the empty office. His head spinning with betrayal, Ji-hoon needed an escape. He needed speed. That night, he headed to the winding mountain roads outside Seoul, a secret spot for elite underground racers. He revved the engine of his imported Ducati, the roar echoing in the dark. He used to have a rival here years ago, a mysterious rider known only as Black Cat, the only person who could ever beat him. They had disappeared 10 years ago, just like the Park family. Ji-hoon took off, tearing down the mountain road, pushing the limits of danger. Suddenly, a headlight appeared in his rearview mirror. A rider in sleek black leather gear on a high-performance bike was gaining him fast. Hana needed to blow off steam too. She had sneaked out of the mansion, retrieved her old racing gear from a hidden locker, and hit the road. Ji-hoon grinned inside his helmet. A challenge. They raced neck and neck, leaning into hairpin turns at impossible speeds. It was a deadly dance of adrenaline and skill. Ji-hoon pushed his bike harder, but the Black Cat was better. On the final turn, Hana executed the legendary Busan Drift, a dangerous maneuver only she could pull off perfectly. She crossed the finish line first, skid-stopping in a cloud of tire smoke. Ji-hoon pulled up next to her, breathless, exhilarated. He jumped off his bike and ran towards her. "Wait!" he shouted over the engine noise. "You race just like someone I used to know. Who are you?" He reached out to grab her helmet. Hana panicked. If he saw her face now, the game was over. She slapped his hand away, hard. Before he could recover, she gunned her engine and sped off into the darkness, leaving the powerful CEO standing alone in the dust, completely obsessed with the mysterious rider, having no idea she was the same woman scrubbing his toilets.
But while Ji-hoon was falling for her two personas, the villain was making his move. The next day, Min-jae received the full background report from his private investigator. There were huge gaps in Miss Kim's history. It was all fake. And then the PI slid a photo across the table. It was a picture from 10 years ago, young Ilara Park at a society gala wearing a very unique antique jade bracelet. The exact same bracelet Min-jae had seen on the cleaning lady's wrist when her sleeve rolled up. "It's her," Min-jae whispered, his idol facade cracking into a sinister smile. "The Park heiress is alive, and she's right under our noses." He couldn't let her find the red file. If she did, she would prove that the Kong family stole everything. He had to finish what his family started 10 years ago. Min-jae found Hana in the mansion's garden, hanging laundry. He put on his best award-winning, charming smile. "Miss Kim, I feel terrible about being rude yesterday. I want to make it up to you. There is an old Kong Group warehouse in Incheon that needs an emergency cleaning before we sell it. It pays triple time. Can I trust you to do it tonight?" Hana hesitated. Her instinct screamed that it was a trap. But that old warehouse, that's where the Park family assets were stored after the takeover. Maybe the red file was there. Triple pay? Jinjae-o? Really? She played the greedy peasant. "Okay, young master, I'll go." She arrived at the desolate warehouse at sunset. It was a massive skeleton of rusted metal and concrete, far from the city lights. "Hello?" she called, her voice echoing in the emptiness. Suddenly, the heavy steel roller door behind her slammed shut with a deafening clang. "Young Master Min-jae?" Hana yelled, running to the door. It was locked from the outside. "Sorry, Princess Park," Min-jae's voice crackled over a dusty intercom speakers high on the wall. He didn't call her Miss Kim. He used her real title. "You should have stayed dead in Switzerland. You Parks never know when to quit." A hiss filled the vast space. Hana looked around frantically. Smoke bombs were going off in the corners, and she smelled gasoline. Then a flicker of orange light threw shadows on the walls. Fire. Min-jae had rigged the place to burn.
Hana coughed, covering her mouth with her sleeve as thick black smoke began to fill the warehouse. There were no windows high enough to reach. The only exit was sealed. Panic threatened to overwhelm her, but she forced it down. She was a survivor. She pulled out her burner phone. 1 bar of signal. She didn't call the police. They would be too late. She called the only person fast enough to get here, the man who owned the fastest bike in Seoul. "Ji-hoon!" she screamed when he picked up, coughing violently. "It's a trap! Min-jae locked me in the old Incheon warehouse. It's burning! Oppa, help me!" The call cut out as the heat intensified. Hana slumped against the hot metal door, the flames creeping closer, threatening to consume the last heir of the Park family. Kang Ji-hoon drove like a man possessed. He didn't care about the speed cameras flashing on the Incheon highway. He didn't care about the police sirens wailing in the distance. All he could hear was Hana's scream echoing in his helmet. He knew exactly where the old warehouse was. It was a site his brother Min-jae had been obsessed with renovating for months. Now he knew why. It was a tomb intended for the last of the Park family. When Ji-hoon arrived, black smoke was billowing out of the warehouse vents like a dark omen. He didn't wait for the fire department. He grabbed a heavy iron bar from the side of the building and smashed the lock on the side door. Bang! Bang! The rusted metal gave way. He kicked the door open and a wall of heat hit him instantly. "Hana!" he screamed, coughing in the thick smoke. He found her slumped in the corner, barely conscious, clutching a small metal box to her chest. He scooped her up in his arms, shielding her face with his jacket, and carried her out into the cool night air just as the warehouse roof groaned and collapsed inward. He laid her on the grass, his heart pounding in his throat. "Hana, wake up!" He grabbed a bottle of water from his bike and poured it over her face to wash away the soot and revive her. But as the water washed away the ash, it also washed away the fake freckles. The thick, nerdy glasses had fallen off inside the fire.
Under the moonlight, Ji-hoon wasn't looking at Ms. Kim, the plain, clumsy cleaning lady. He was looking at a woman with porcelain skin and striking, regal features. He recognized her instantly from the business magazines of 10 years ago. "Park Hana?" he whispered, his voice trembling with shock. "The missing heiress?" Hana's eyes fluttered open. She saw the realization in his face. She didn't try to put on the accent. She didn't try to hide. She sat up, coughing, and looked him dead in the eye with a cold, aristocratic intensity. "Yes, Ji-hoon, it's me." Ji-hoon felt like the ground had dropped out from under him. "You lied to me. This whole time. You played me." "I had to," Hana said, her voice raspy but strong. She held up the metal box she had saved from the fire. "Your family destroyed mine, Ji-hoon. Your brother Min-jae, he didn't just lock me in there tonight. He's the one who sabotaged my parents' car 10 years ago. And this box, it contains the red file, the original ledgers proving the Kang family stole our patents." Ji-hoon's face hardened into stone. He took the box. Inside were the documents, undeniably real, and a digital recorder. He pressed play. It was Min-jae's voice bragging to an accomplice years ago. "The parks are finished. The patents are ours. I cut the brakes myself." The betrayal cut deep, but Ji-hoon's moral compass didn't waver. He looked at Hana, the woman who had scrubbed his floors, raced him on the mountain, and saved his company from corporate espionage. He didn't see a liar. He saw a survivor. He stood up and offered her his hand. "We need to go to the hospital, and then we're going to burn him down." 2 days later, the Kang Global Gala was the event of the season in Seoul. It was held at the Grand Hyatt, filled with celebrities, politicians, and the elite chaebol families. Kang Min-jae stood on the stage in a white tuxedo, looking every bit the angel. He was announcing the launch of his new subsidiary company, built entirely on stolen assets. He thought Hana was dead in the ashes of that warehouse. He had already spun a story to the press about a tragic accident involving a squatter. "Ladies and gentlemen," Min-jae beamed, holding up a microphone, "tonight is a new beginning. I am proud to unveil the future of tech, developed solely by my genius." The crowd applauded. "And to celebrate, I am auctioning off the final remnants of the defunct Park Group. Starting bid for their old headquarters, 50 billion won. 60 billion, shouted a bidder. 80 billion, shouted another. 1 trillion won, a voice rang out from the back of the ballroom. It was clear, commanding, and icy. The room went dead silent. Heads turned. The double doors swung open. Walking in wasn't Ms. Kim, the cleaning lady in her gray uniform. It was Park Hana. She was wearing a blood-red evening gown that looked like armor, diamonds dripping from her ears, and her head held high like a queen returning to her throne. And walking right beside her, looking dangerous in a black suit, was CEO Kang Ji-hoon. Min-jae dropped the microphone. Thud. "You," he stammered, his face turning pale. "You're supposed to be—" Hana walked right up to the stage, the crowd parting for her. She climbed the steps and stood toe-to-toe with Min-jae. "Dead?" Hana finished his sentence, smiling terrifyingly. "Sorry to disappoint you, Min-jae, but I'm very hard to kill." "Security?" Min-jae screamed, panic in his eyes. "Get this crazy woman out of here. She's an imposter." "I am not an imposter," Hana said, her voice amplified by the mic she snatched from his hand. "I am Park Hana, and I am buying back my company." She pulled out a sleek black card, the limitless card her grandfather had reactivated that morning, "with the money you stole from me." "This is ridiculous," Min-jae laughed nervously, looking at the crowd. "Ji-hoon Hyung, tell them she's a fraud." Ji-hoon stepped forward. He looked at his brother with pure disgust. "She's not the fraud, Min-jae. You are." Ji-hoon signaled to the tech team at the back of the room. The massive projector screen behind them suddenly changed. It wasn't the company logo anymore. It was the evidence. The red file, documents showing the illegal transfers, the police report of the sabotaged car, and finally the audio recording of Min-jae's confession playing on loop for all of Korea to hear. The crowd gasped. Flashes from cameras went off like a lightning storm. "Murderer!" someone shouted. Min-jae tried to run, scrambling towards the back exit, but the doors opened and the Seoul police walked in, handcuffs ready. "Kang Min-jae," the officer announced, "you are arrested for the murder of Chairman Park and attempted murder of Park Hana." As they dragged Min-jae away, screaming and kicking like a child, the room erupted into chaos. But Hana didn't watch him leave. She turned to Ji-hoon. The adrenaline was fading, leaving only the truth between them. "So," Hana said, crossing her arms and looking up at him, "I guess the engagement is off. I can't marry a Kang after all this." Ji-hoon smirked, stepping closer, ignoring the hundreds of cameras pointing at them. "Well, that's a problem, because I fired Ms. Kim this morning." "You fired me?" Hana raised her eyebrow. "I can't date my cleaning lady," Ji-hoon said, his voice dropping to a whisper so only she could hear. "And I don't want a janitor. I want a partner. I want the black cat who beat me on the mountain. I want the woman who took down my evil brother without breaking a sweat." He took her hand, kissing the knuckles where the burn from the tea had finally healed. "I'm applying for the position of husband, Park Hana. Do I have a shot?" Hana looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the man who had bandaged her arm, the man who had chosen the ugly girl over the models, and the man who had chosen justice over his own blood. "You'll do," she smiled, echoing his words from their first blind date. "But I'm warning you, I really do snore." Ji-hoon laughed and pulled her in for a kiss that made the front page of every newspaper in Seoul the next morning. And that, my friends, is how the rich girl dressed ugly exposed the truth, saved her legacy, and snagged the CEO. The moral of the story? Be careful who you bully, because the person scrubbing your floors today might just be the one buying your building tomorrow. And true love, it doesn't care about designer clothes or fake freckles. It sees straight to the heart.